right. What is going on, everyone? What is up? How are we doing? It's been a while since I've done a live stream. It's been a bit. I think it's got to be about a month now. And I it's funny how after the live stream I did last month, I was like, yeah, I want to make this like a regular thing. I want to do it like once a week, and then I didn't do it once a week. But I would really like to do it more regularly. But I mean, whenever I can get on and do it, that's good. So glad to be doing this. I already see a couple of comments in the chat. I see one from Barnabas and one from Ghostly saying they won't be able to make it at the time I'm starting, which is unfortunate, but I mean, you guys can always go back and watch the stream from the beginning. See some comments from Donovan, who I think he's not going to be on here tonight, but it is what it is. I'll read his comments as well. But AMD, Riker, what's going on? How's it going? Diesel Demon, I see you commented earlier as well. Good to have you here. I'll wait for everybody to just funnel into the stream. I mean, nothing too crazy tonight. It's just gonna be, a regular Q&A. There's not really much going on right now. There's not much going on that would make me say, hey, we gotta stream right now. We gotta talk about A, B, and C. There's not much going on at the moment. It's kind of just quiet right now. There's Donovan. There you are. Yeah, no problem, man. Glad you're here in the first place. Appreciate you being here. What'd you say here? Start with your comments since you're not going to be here too long. You said, also just broke the actor and writer strike might be soon affecting the gaming industry because of pro voice actors. Very unprecedented times. Yep, the strikes do not seem to be getting any better. Like, not at all. It is really interesting how these smaller production companies are willing to take on the prices that the writers and actors are asking for, but these bigger production companies like Amazon or Netflix, Warner Brothers, Disney, they're not willing to do so. So that speaks volumes. The fact that smaller production companies who make much less money than, say, for example, an A24 does, yet A24 is still willing to pay their actors and writers what they're asking for. So that's big. And then, absolutely. The strike is going to affect a lot of entertainment. It's already affecting it now, and it's going to continue to get worse. We're seeing movies and TV shows getting stalled into next year. We're probably gonna have to, see other ones get stalled into 2025. This might cancel movies and TV shows. There's going to be a lot of bad that is going to come from this, which is unfortunate. Smiley Face Studios, hello everyone. Hey, right back to you. Glad you're here. And also, Donovan, you said the logic of Warner Brothers delay a movie that has had a few posters by now, 2 trailers, yet keep one for this year and still has no trailers, no stills, nothing, and about less than 4 months from release. And of course, you were talking about Aquaman 2. Yeah, I don't know what in the world is going on with that movie. I don't know if many of you heard, but today, I think it was today, this morning, it was announced that Blue Beetle was getting pulled from 500 theaters in the US. And what I'm going to quickly do right now is just look up what Blue Beetle is at the box office, because that'll obviously be really telling. So Blue Beetle's box office currently right now, like, you guys gotta see this with your own eyes. Look at that. Look at that. 85 million worldwide. That is what they are at for the box office. 85 million. This movie's budget, it's probably somewhere on this page, I just don't really want to go looking for it. This movie's budget was 100 million, probably give or take a little bit more than that, you know? And they haven't even made their money back. So there's a lot of reasons why they're pulling Blue Beetle from movie theaters. So because of that, I mean, one has to wonder if Warner Brothers already thinks Aquaman is going to be a failure, which is crazy because they at one point made $1 billion from the first Aquaman. And now they're sitting here thinking like, yo, we might not even make 200 million on this movie. And that is a $205 million budget, if not more, because they've had to put more money into reshoots and all this other stuff. And if they are going to do any sort of marketing in any way, I mean, that's even more money that they have to pour into it that they will not make back for their budget. So, yeah, it is, it's not looking good for Aquaman. I really don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. One has to wonder if they're even going to release it because of how quiet they've been on the movie. Like, you're 4 months away and we don't even have a 30-second teaser. We don't even have a logo teaser, like a logo slowly shifting from a black screen with someone narrating in the background. So it's not a good look for Aquaman moving forward. Yeah, AMD Blue Beetle is that bad right now. 85 million. I mean, that doesn't give you any confidence at all for the future of DC. Snake Eyes says, will Superman Legacy be delayed or canceled if the strike doesn't end? Yeah, both. One or the other. Superman Legacy could 100. I don't even think it is a could. Superman Legacy will 100% be delayed past the release date of 2025. They say it's July 2025 release. I could see it easily getting delayed into, I don't know, maybe the end of 2025 or the beginning of 2026. They could do a September release of 2025, or they would do February, March of 2026. Although I'm just putting this out there, and it's like a lot of people want to ignore this or forget about this, but it's happened to so many projects in the past, including DC. Let's not pretend this hasn't happened before. When George Miller made Justice League Mortal back in 2008, it didn't just get delayed, it got canceled because of the strike, the writer's strike that happened back then. And that strike was nowhere near as bad as the strike we currently have today. Like, this strike is terrible. That one, it was bad for its time, but this is on another level of bad. And if that was enough to destroy a Justice League movie in which the story, I'm pretty sure, was written, everyone was cast, all the costumes were ready, even some of the people suited up for a promotional photo. George Miller obviously was set and ready to direct. Everyone was hired. The only thing they needed to do was film the movie. If that strike was bad enough to can that movie, imagine what could happen here with James Gunn's Superman and the future of DC. We'll have to see what happens, but they are just, simply put, beyond the strikes. They're not in a good spot right now moving forward. So we will see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath, though. I'll put it that way. Bleeding Edge says, how do you feel about Superman Legacy and the plot and everything about it? So, if the leak is true, because apparently Grace Randolph talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, and other people came out and said that this script leak was true. The idea is that Superman has to solve a crisis somewhere in the Middle East, and he has his way. He wants to deal with it, but then Justice Society has their own way they want to deal with it, which then starts a conflict between the Justice Society and Superman. And all I can think to myself is, did we not just have that in Black Adam? And Black Adam, I mean, funny enough, is the best movie to have come out recently from DC, but people weren't overly fond about Black Adam, yet you're going to give Superman a Black Adam type story of what we've already seen. It's not a good look. Simple as that. Now, maybe that leak is not real. Maybe it simply isn't true, and that's not what the story is in any way. But if that is the case, he might have to do some rewriting, and he can't do that right now. So it is what it is. If that's what the story is, you got to keep it that way. Smiley Face says, what do you think about the new rumors on Twitter of Robin/Dick Grayson possibly appearing in Batman 2? I'm good with it. I am fine with it. I think if you can make Robin work in a grounded reality of Batman, then I think go for it. If you know how to do it, feel free to. And AMD, thank you so much. Great channel. Keep up the great content. Thank you. I really do appreciate that with the $10. Thank you very much. And thank you for being here. But yeah, I mean, if you can craft up a good enough story where, like, really take this in, it depends on where you start, but you're taking a 8, 9, 10, maybe even a 12-year-old boy. You're throwing him in what I would hope to be an armored suit, right? And you're bringing him out into a field with a man like Batman who gets himself into some of the most dangerous scenarios of mankind. You live in Gotham City. Only bad things are meant to happen there. So, I mean, you gotta make it feel like a 10 or 12-year-old boy can be fighting crime with Batman. And I feel like that's a lot of reasons why some people don't want Robin in Batman movies. Like that's a huge reason why Nolan didn't do Robin in his Dark Knight trilogy. It just doesn't fit, and overall, when you think about it, it doesn't make the most sense. I am not opposed to it, though. Like I said, craft a good enough story and I'll accept it. I'll watch it and I'll see if it's good, you know? It's just harder because the Batman is more of a grounded reality, whereas with the DCU Batman, they might have an easier time getting away with Robin in that universe. So we will see. Warner Brothers is smoking the cheap stuff, man. Who is running that show? Time for new leadership. Well, honestly, right now, the problem with Warner Brothers is that it almost seems as if every single time there's a new leader, there's new ownership. It is, what's the saying? It's new faces, same mentality. It's just, you know, the new people who still run their company the exact same way that Warner Brothers was being run before, in which everyone complained about them, and that's why they were losing money in the first place. So, I still think Zaslav is going to package this company and ship them off to another studio sometime next year, maybe even 2025. 2024 or 2025. I think Zaslav is going to get rid of Warner Brothers DC, and it's going to be bought out by somebody else. Leo Riggs says, do you think James Gunn's universe will work, or we need to wait longer between the DCEU and the DCU? Yep, I've said this a lot of times on my channel. We need 5 to 6 years. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. Hell, even me, a piece of me, doesn't want to hear that. But I just think DC should not need a connected universe right now. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at a lot of DC films' success, it comes from movies that have nothing to do with a connected universe. And now James Gunn, he doesn't just have an uphill battle. He has to climb Mount Everest. He has to start from the very bottom and somehow find a way to reach the top of Mount Everest with no gear whatsoever. He just has to get there somehow. And I really don't see that happening. And I think Warner Brothers knows, and they're only doing this whole DCU situation to make their company look better for some reason, you know, for other people to buy them. But I mean, 7 financial flops in a row would tell you otherwise. So whoever they sell the company to is going to get it for a huge discounted price. And, you know, a DCU kickstarting in 2025. Think about this, okay? Aquaman drops apparently at the end of this year, all right? So the DCEU is now over. Next year, you have no DCU movies. Then 2025, midway through the year, you get Superman Legacy. But, oh wait, you do get DCU projects. You get them in 2024, Amanda Waller and Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos, who nobody is looking forward to unless you are some sort of comic book fan, okay? And Waller, which is like, sure, fine, Viola Davis is an awesome Amanda Waller, but A, why does she get her own show? And B, this now carries in more confusion about who's staying and who's going from the DCEU to the DCU. So you're not even really getting a 1-year break because you're getting DCU projects next year in 2024. Whereas he initially tried to make it seem like the DCU wouldn't start until 2025. Long story short, I could have just given you a simple answer. No, it is not enough time for a break of DC. I think you need 5 to 6 years. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I wouldn't even test a DC connected universe until 2028, maybe. I don't really think I would try even in 2026. I would let the Batman and Joker from Todd Phillips, I would let those movies have their time. You know, we're going to get the Penguin show. We're going to get Batman 2, Batman 3, probably 3 Batmans, and then probably 2 or 3 TV shows from that Batman world. And then Joker, if they're making Joker 2, I could imagine they would make a Joker 3. So just focus on what clearly works for you now, because that's all that works for them is Batman related stuff. And then maybe in like 2028, you can, like, you know, dabble around and do some internet polls and searching, like get companies to start talking about, what if DC did a connected universe today? Would you be interested if it was run by the right people? And then you could see what the online discourse is and then make your decision from there. And Leo said, "Oh yeah, I exactly your question there. I just answered. Don't stop DC altogether for 5 to 6 years, but yes, focus on Elseworld films. Focus on standalones. Focus on the things that do work for you. And you could gamble on, we'll make a Superman movie that's going to be standalone. So it won't be Superman Legacy. It won't tie into a connected universe. But I'll throw this out. Maybe, say, for example, J.J. Abrams finally gets his movie going, the Black Superman movie, right? What I'm basically saying, though, you could try, hey, if all we're gonna do is make standalone films, you could try to make a standalone film with Superman. But as of right now, if you want to keep things safe, Batman is the only thing that sells. I'm not complaining. I'm a Batman fan. Everywhere here is Batman. I'm not complaining, although I could see how for other people it's draining and it's too much Batman, but unfortunately that is the only character that seems to sell in DC today. That is my super long rant about a pretty simple question, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. Bleeding Edge Studios, is Clayface or Mr. Freeze the villain of Batman 2? It seems like everybody wants Mr. Freeze as the villain of Batman 2. But Clayface is where all the rumors and leaks seem to be kind of directing towards. Now, main villain, I don't know. Mr. Freeze could find a way. Once again, in a very grounded reality of Batman, I do wonder how Mr. Freeze would work. I feel like for Robert Pattinson's Batman, the world would be better off sticking to villains like a Riddler, a Joker, Penguin, Hush. Who there's someone else who is literally just on my mind and it escaped me. I mean, yeah, if Nolan could make Bane work, they could make Bane work here as well. Ra's al Ghul would be another one. I don't know if more of the fantasy type villains of Batman would work in this world, but you know what? Prove me wrong. Let's see if they can actually do it. Just imagine Disney buys DC. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. I mean, Charles Austin, good to see you, brother. Hey, it's good to see you here too. Glad you could join the stream. Yeah, that would be absolutely nuts, Bleeding Edge, because Disney would now officially have become a monopoly. And at one point, I thought America had it was illegal to own monopolies in such a way. I guess it's not anymore. But what I would fear is if Disney was like, hey, let's just make DC Marvel. Let's literally just do that. And people will potentially eat it up, which is what I would not want. I want DC to stay its own unique, fresh flavor. But Disney, I think, in all honesty, I think the company who's going to buy DC and Warner Brothers is Universal. And I'll throw a curveball. If it's not Universal, I think Amazon will do it, which would be nuts, but I think they would do it. If Universal doesn't bid for them, or maybe the purchase just doesn't go through, the negotiations fall out, Amazon will be the company to do it. Which I don't know about that one either. That would worry me as well. Have they even filmed Waller yet? Nope. Nope, they haven't, and they can't because of the strikes now. So who knows when that'll happen. Who do you imagine will be Flash in the DCU? Barry, Wally, and do you think he'll be recast? 110% he will be recast. I don't even need to think about that one. And I think it's going to be Barry. If the DCU actually happens, I think it's going to be Barry. I would prefer Wally, but I think they're going to go with Barry again. If it were me, if I were in charge, it would be Wally all day. Some schmuck. How you doing, brother? Do you think Legacy will be able to bring DC out of this rut of box office bombs? Here's the problem. Superman doesn't sell. And yes, Man of Steel pulled a profit. It's their best-selling Superman film ever made. But it is true when people say that Superman is not a popular character outside of comic books. Now, what I will say is Superman will always carry name, okay? He will always carry like a legendary status. Because he's the first superhero ever, and he will always be respected in that way. But general audiences, they don't watch comic book movies for Superman because, unfortunately, a lot of general audience viewers, a lot of them think of Superman as being boring, too powerful, can't really do much with that character. It is unfortunate because after seeing Man of Steel, it changed my tone on Superman. Man of Steel made me love and appreciate that character more than I ever have in my life. I was one of those people who said Superman sucks. After watching Man of Steel, I said Superman is a beautiful character. Unfortunately, not everyone feels that way outside of comic communities. So, and I've seen a lot of people say this, I couldn't agree more. Yes, whereas Batman is being used so much today, he almost drains the market for DC. He is the only thing that sells. The DCU probably, in a perfect world, Superman starts a DC cinematic universe. In the film world, in the real world, sorry, you should probably have had Batman start the DCU. And probably what they should have done is say, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, we need Robert Pattinson to be the Batman of the DCU. And then, now you already have the Batman, you can now make Superman. It should have started with Batman. Starting with Superman, yes, us comic book fans will be like, let's go Superman, but a vast majority of the world, which is what really makes up the money for these movies, general audiences will be like, ooh, Superman, you know? I'm not saying Superman will bomb like everything else. I'm not even, with James Gunn, I'm not saying it'll do $200 million. I could see Superman, I don't know, maybe making 500 million, maybe, because we do have to keep into consideration how many people are still salty, including me, not gonna lie, over Henry Cavill's firing, and that won't help their case, because that'll stretch into 2025. If you made this DCU in 2028, like I was saying, people might be like, it was such a long time ago. That time is done. We'll just accept a new actor. We have to. That was a different age, you can almost say. We're doing this only like 2 years after they let Henry Cavill go. Henry Cavill was vocal about coming back. He's vocal about wanting to play Superman. with how divided DC is, wanting the Snyderverse, not wanting the Snyderverse, loving Cavill, wanting a Man of Steel 2, I just can't see James Gunn's Superman hitting a 6, 7, 800 million mark, because it won't break $1 billion. I'll tell you that right now. There are people who think it will. It's not going to happen. It's not. The only character for DC that can break $1 billion at the moment is Batman. And even the Batman didn't break $1 billion. It only made 777,000 or something. So that's how I think of it. And I don't know, say it does make 500 million. I don't know if 500 million for Superman Legacy will be enough for a DCU to continue. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Man, I love going on these rants, eh? One question is asked, and I'm like, yeah, let me take 50 minutes to explain one little answer. Bleeding Edge, do you think Jeffrey Dean Morgan, the person who played Negan, would be a good Deathstroke? I think he'd be a great Deathstroke. I also think he would have been a fantastic Thomas Wayne Batman for the Flash movie. But no, let's go with Michael Keaton's Batman to capitalize on nostalgia for a movie no one will see. Good idea. They missed hard with Thomas Wayne and the Flashpoint story. I think Black Mask would fit into the Batman universe 100%. It would be really cool if in Batman 2 or maybe even the Penguin show, they name drop or show somebody who will be Roman Sionis. That would be really neat. Disney shouldn't buy them. Do you have any idea what Disney would do to our beloved DC? Oh, as if DC isn't already vastly destroyed. I think Disney would find a way to just make DC crumble on itself and never come back for air. Like, they would never be able to dig themselves out of a hole. Yeah, I don't think I really don't think Disney is interested in buying DC, but I wouldn't like that idea too much. All right, let's see what's going on here. Lost my spot. The Claymores, what's up, brother? Good to see you here. I was thinking at least we'll get good DC games if DC movies take a break, but then I remembered Suicide Squad is a live service game, so maybe even the games won't survive Warner Brothers meddling. What a stupid idea to make Suicide Squad a live service game when you could have easily, well, let's be honest here, made a Superman movie from Rocksteady, or Superman game from Rocksteady, or you could have just made the Suicide Squad game like a Batman Arkham game. I don't know why they had to go out and ruin their own brand of gaming. A studio which revolutionized superhero video games. Crazy to me and super unfortunate. More than likely Universal, and I hear they might bid in 2024. I think it is 100% going to happen. I think Universal will inquire about Warner Brothers and DC. And if that were to happen, right, like everything would transition over. And I'm sure like there's maybe some sort of clause in their agreement of, you know, James Gunn and Peter Safran are CEOs of DC, and when they go over to Universal, they keep their jobs, but Universal can now decide if they want to keep them or go in a different direction, which I honestly think a different company would go in a different direction. I don't think they would do what they want with James Gunn and stuff. Donovan, kind of have to go now, but hope to see you on a stream soon. Absolutely, man. Have a good night, and I hope you'll be able to watch the rest of the stream on your own time. But thanks for being here. Yeah. Superman is the face and Batman is what sells. Yes, 100%. Like I said, especially to comic book fans. Superman is the face of DC, but a lot of the interest comes from Batman. And because I have to keep mentioning it, right? General audiences are a huge part of making money for movies. They're bigger than the fans that these movies are made for. In a general audience perspective, it's Batman over Superman probably 90% of the time. I bet if you asked any general audience member, Batman or Superman, they'd say Batman, 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 Superman, Batman, Batman, Batman. You know what I mean? So it's how it is. Batman has proven why he can be such a flexible character and stories to tell about him. I know this isn't DC related, but what's your take on the rumor of Taika Waititi directing Akira? No, I think Taika has become a director who just literally talks out of his ass. And I don't understand why he's chosen to have this type of personality and attitude, but he's almost insufferable. I wouldn't be surprised if things came out about Taika within the next couple of years of people talking about how Taika was just a pain in the ass to work with, and he's like not a nice guy on set or something like that, like he's mean or he's rude. I would not be surprised if just people were like, yo, screw Taika. After he made Thor Love and Thunder, he changed. He switched up. He got really, really weird. That movie is not, in my opinion, that movie's one of the worst Marvel movies I've ever seen in my life. Like, it is as bad as all three Fantastic Four movies. Like, it's on that level of terrible for me. But after that movie dropped, after it was made, he just got very strange. And he got very vocal in the worst way possible in interviews. So, no. My answer is no. I would not want to see that happen. Let's see. The Flash was nothing more than Man of Steel rehashed. Yeah, I love how The Flash used references and callbacks, especially like Metropolis's D-Day in a sense when Zod unleashed the Terraformer. I love how The Flash uses references to Man of Steel, but in the worst ways possible. Like, they couldn't even, give a shout out to Henry Cavill's Superman. They didn't do anything like that. Once again, it's just a spit in the face to all those actors, creators, and fans of those movies. Which movie is better, The Dark Knight Rises or The Batman? From Marvin J. I'm going to say the better made film is The Batman. Would I rather watch The Dark Knight Rises over The Batman? Potentially. Both movies, Dark Knight Rises and The Batman, are in my top 10 comic films of all time. My favorite comic film of all time, and beyond that, my favorite film of all time is The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is why I do what I do today, making content for all of you and out of my own enjoyment. The Dark Knight Rises holds a special place for me because it was a beautiful ending to the story that Nolan was telling. When I watch The Dark Knight Rises, believe it or not, there are actually a lot of editing issues I notice with that movie. And I don't fully know why there are so many. Also, the choreography in Dark Knight Rises is a little sloppy, I've noticed, the more I've watched the film. but I still love it. And I think it's one of the best endings for a trilogy of comic book films of all time. But the better made movie is what I can answer, and I think it is The Batman over The Dark Knight Rises. So true. Thomas Wayne is one of the coolest parts of the Flashpoint story, and they had a perfect actor for it. They did, and they completely squandered it. They absolutely failed. And I couldn't believe. I can't believe. Not couldn't. I still can't. I can't believe you have an actor like Jeffrey Dean Morgan who plays a fantastic Thomas Wayne in the little amount we see him in Batman vs. Superman. And you said, nah, we don't want that guy as Thomas Wayne. They have to be outside of their mind. If I was on the board of executives for that company, however they make their dumbass decisions, I would have looked at everyone in the room and been like, are you effing stupid? Are you actually that dumb? You wouldn't get that man to play Thomas Wayne Batman live action? What a missed opportunity. Missed opportunity. There's so many stupid things Warner Brothers has done with DC that I hope it haunts them forever, because they don't deserve anything more. Riker, no to DC. I agree. Or sorry, no to Disney. No to DC too, but no to Disney. Yeah, I agree. 100%. Universal would scrap Gunn's entire plan. Probably yes. 100%. I think so. I don't think any company who got a hold of DC right now in Warner Brothers, I don't think any company would keep what Gunn is doing. Then again, like, in all fairness, right? We don't know what Gunn really has planned, but that is because I think there is a high possibility there is no plan. I don't think there is really this blueprint, even though they named off one. James Gunn had a DCU slate video that we've all seen that honestly 100% has it. Actually, I'm going to check right now for you guys. It hasn't hit 2 million views. I'm going to call that right now. James Gunn's DCU slate video that was supposed to, give excitement to what the future of DCU is, doesn't have over 2 million views. James Gunn DCU slate. 7 months ago, 1.9 million views. It has 1.9 million views in 7 months. And if you guys don't believe me, just out of, just show you. There you go. 1.9 million views in 7 months. That is not good. Like I don't understand how anyone would think, no, that's okay. Nah. Nope. Not good at all. Not good at all. It's like, I would 100% be expecting like 8 to 10 million. I would say 8 to 10 million is where I would be looking for a DCU slate video. 1.9 million. That's crazy. There are YouTubers who make the stupidest videos on planet Earth, and they get 10 million views. A class director in Hollywood makes a slate video for the future of DC, and it can't even hit 2 million. That's crazy. Jay says, Armie Hammer was always my pick for Batman. Yeah. Good thing Armie Hammer never became Batman. And I'm sure you know, but if anyone else in the chat doesn't know, Armie Hammer was supposed to be Batman in George Miller's Justice League Mortal. And yeah, that guy is like basically, from what I understand, he's got cannibalistic features, which that's why he's canceled today. That's why you don't see anything from him anymore. So yeah, good thing he wasn't Batman. What is your ideal Justice League roster if the DCU is made? I can speak for myself. If I was in charge of a DCU, my roster would be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, John Stewart's Green Lantern, Wally West Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Zatanna. That's what I would do. And I'll explain why. I have a video on this. You guys can probably, I can probably find it, put the link in, but I'll tell you now. Zatanna, the reason why I think I would want her in my Justice League is because I think Zatanna is a big enough name from DC fans where you could slip her inside of a Justice League and then you could make general audiences basically be like, oh, yo, she's actually really cool. I want to look more about her. I want to look up more about her, you know? And if you get a good actress for it, it gets people really interested in that character. Also, the Justice League is one of the most powerful teams in all fictional history. The one character they're missing is a magician. I think Zatanna would be a fantastic fit for that team. Eventually down the road, I would get Hal Jordan involved. Maybe Aquaman, but I gotta be honest with you. I don't hate Aquaman in any way. I don't. He's not my favorite character though. And I always thought that Aquaman was the misplaced piece in the Justice League. Unless it has a lot to do with like water, like ocean war or something like that, I just wouldn't, I'm not really interested in having Aquaman part of the Justice League. So yeah, once again, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Wally West Flash, John Stewart, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Zatanna. That would be my starting lineup of 7. Did Bane's voice work for you in The Dark Knight Rises? Yes, there are moments in the movie that's like, you know, like, okay, I shouldn't say it makes me cringe because it doesn't. There are moments in the movie where like Bane says certain things and it becomes like this thing where the more you say that line in his voice, it gets funnier and funnier over time. I have no problem with the voice choice. Rhymed. I have no problem with the voice choice of Bane in Nolan's Dark Knight Rises. Would that have been a choice I would have made if I made The Dark Knight Rises? No, because I'll be honest with you, not because it's not I don't like it. It's because I don't think I would have ever thought of doing something like that for Bane. I wouldn't have thought of a voice like that. So yeah. Let's see. Hey, Hannah. What's up? Glad to have you here. Randy O'Donnell. Oh, my goodness. I lost the comment. 1 second. I'm coming back. There we go. Randy O'Donnell. Superman isn't popular among the general audience. Batman is. Why isn't Discovery launching the DCU with Batman? Superman Legacy will likely lose money. Yeah, it's what I was saying earlier in this stream. Why wouldn't they have started with Batman? Batman is guaranteed money. That's just how he works. That's how he's been working since the Nolan days. That's how he has worked after video games, animation, comic books. Batman is money. They should be starting the DCU with Batman, but they're not doing that. They're deciding to go the hard route with Superman, which I do agree with you. I think Superman is going to lose them a lot more money than they think he would have. Claymores, don't speak this into existence. Universal would merge their Monsters universe with the DC universe. I don't know how many of you remember that universe was supposed to be a thing. And who was leading it? Tom Cruise? Javier Bardem? Was he one of them? Sofia Boutella, because she played the villain in that horrendous Mummy movie. I believe she was going to be a bigger role. And then there are a couple other... Oh, Johnny Depp. That's right. Johnny Depp was supposed to be in the Monsters universe. God, the Monsters universe. Like, give me a break. That universe didn't go... We thought we had it bad with the DC universe. The Monsters universe couldn't even make it past one movie. It's terrible idea, mind you. They should have never even attempted doing that, but yeah. Claymore, Spider-Man 2, the game trailer, got 13 million views in only 1 month. And, like, yes, there are a lot of video gamers in the world, okay? There are, including myself, including a lot of you in the chat here. But, like, we are talking video games. We're talking a medium that even more general audiences don't do. If we sit here and think, okay, people all around the world love watching TV, love, shows, series, love watching like live things like, sports, or news, love watching movies, right? Love watching YouTube or any streaming service. People around the world genuinely and generally love watching programs, TV and movies. There's even less people who enjoy watching animation. So now you take away people who watch the basics of movies and live television and TV shows to animation. You cut that in half. Cut that straight in half. A lot of people just don't watch animation or don't like it. Now cut that half in half for video games. And a video game trailer got more views than James Gunn's DCU slate. What else can we say? What else can we say? Seriously, what else can we say? And I mean, I know there are a lot of people who would find their way to defend it, and if you have a good enough defense for it, go for it. But like, come on, how else do you put that? 1.9 million views in 7 months. I rest my case. I don't think Warner Brothers realizes the type of studio they are. Warner Brothers used to be identified as a place for auteur directors. They were friendly to... Yep. They have changed drastically and horribly. To be fair, Warner Brothers has had a lot of problems when it comes to canceling movies, firing people, and hiring the wrong people since the early 2000s. Warner Brothers has had a lot of issues with that stuff for a long time. It hasn't really gotten bad though, like tear my eyes out bad since 2013. That's when Warner Brothers started showing their true colors and when their company slowly but surely started to fall apart. Warner Brothers themselves probably never saw it. they probably didn't think like, oh, in 6, 7, 8 years, we'll be a hated company. We'll be okay. But it was happening in 2013 and they didn't even know it. They are a terrible company now. So pretty much most of the Justice League Unlimited roster, very good idea. Yeah. And you know what? That's probably where I get a lot of my Justice League inspiration, is from the Justice League animated series and then the Unlimited series that followed it right after. That's why, I love Wally West as the Flash. I grew up with that version. I love Jon Stewart as Green Lantern. I grew up with that version. So a lot of my inspiration comes from that. Love Aquaman. I know I kind of dished out on Aquaman saying he's not fit for the Justice League, but I love Aquaman with the hook. And I like the Aquaman who loves being king of Atlantis, not so much the Aquaman who wants nothing to do with Atlantis. But just as a Justice League member, I don't know. I've never felt Aquaman being a Justice League member, but he is an original. He is an original member. Love the roster. Thank you, Claymores. Do the Bane voice, T.M.M. If I had like a coffee cup, oh god, that looked so wrong when I did this. Oh my goodness. Unreal. If I had a coffee cup, it would sound better, but it sounds a little like this. What's the famous line he does? Oh my goodness. When he's in the prison. The one where he says, you have my permission to die. What does he say before that? What does he say? If someone can tell me what he says before, then you have my permission to die, I'll do the line. Randy O'Donnell, will Zaslav use the strike as an excuse to scale back Gunn's Phase 1? 100%. 100%. He will... There's a couple of things that could happen. There's a couple of things that could happen with Zaslav and Gunn's plan for DC. They could change it. They could scale it back. They could cancel it. Like 100%. Don't take that off the table. They could easily cancel the DCU. I know a lot of people don't want to admit that, and I don't necessarily blame them, but the DCU could be there could be a canceling in the future. Also, I think that the DCU could be window dressing for Warner Brothers. Once again, he's trying to dress up how good the company looks by saying like, hey guys, look what we got going on here. We're making a DCU. We got our shit together. Do you see who we have? We have James freaking Gunn. Big whoop. Regardless, we have James freaking Gunn. We're making a DCU, guys. Doesn't really mean anything. They could simply just be, making it look pretty for another company to take over. But really quickly, let me look up James Gunn DCU slate. Let me look at all the projects because I am kind of blanking on them at the moment. Okay. All right. And let me get this on the screen for you guys here. Scale that down a bit. Okay. Oh, I'm opening so many tabs that I don't know what's going on right now. Okay. So, can you guys see? I think you guys can see it. All right. So, he has Gods and Monsters, Superman Legacy. I'll tell you this right now. If any project is being made in the DCU, it's going to be Superman Legacy. It will 100% be Superman Legacy. If any movie is getting made in this universe, that's what it's going to be. Okay? The Authority. No. The Authority will not be made. And my reason for this is because if the Authority is if the Authority is basically like, you know, already a super small kind of unknown team to comic book fans, what is that gonna do for the general audience? This is like as rare of characters as you can almost get for a movie. Take that in, guys. This is a movie. This isn't, you know, a TV show. This isn't a Max show. This is a movie. So I'm going to say no. And I'm kind of just realizing right now that I have the screens switched around here. So give me a second, guys. I am sorry about that. There we go. Hold up. What is going on with OBS? Hold on, guys. Give me a uno momento. There we go. So dumb. Okay, let's flop that up there. Okay. All right. So, okay. I'm going to say no to the Authority. Batman, Brave and the Bold. They got to change that. But for Brave and the Bold, yeah, it'll be, if the DCU works, it'll get made. The problem is, though, is you are making a movie of Batman at the same time as Robert Pattinson's Batman with Matt Reeves. Terrible idea. Like, just a straight up terrible idea to have both Batmans in movie theaters at the same time, one that's DCU and one that's a standalone. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, 100%. If the DC World's Batman does the universe, so that would be a movie that would get made because it is Batman related, but it's a terrible idea to have two Batmans in theaters at the same time that have nothing to do with each other. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Yeah, I understand, like, Tom King, people like his run on Supergirl, but why in the world would you make a Supergirl movie when you have a Superman movie? You can make a Supergirl movie, but it can't be in the same phase as Superman. You need to change that up. That movie, I don't think would happen. Swamp Thing. If a Swamp Thing... And don't even get me wrong, I like Swamp Thing, but if a Swamp Thing movie, okay, or a Swamp Thing show, because we had a show, remember? If the show couldn't make it past one season, I don't know what a movie would do for you. Because I know a lot of people are thinking, once again, a lot of people got to get out of this mindset that we're all comic book fans, we'll watch anything. No, that's not how it works. We're seeing it today with DC. General audiences aren't tuning into these movies because they don't care. Swamp Thing would not be enough to bring people into theaters. So Swamp Thing, no, won't happen. Batman 2, I mean, that's Elseworlds, so forget that. Creature Commandos is apparently in production right now. Once again...
You're frozen.
Uh-oh, I'm frozen?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for coming in and telling me.
Technical difficulty.
Oh, whoops. That is not good. Uh-oh. Whoops. Okay. Okay, I'm in. James Gunn's trying to take me down right now. He's not liking what I'm saying. Not good. Is everything okay? Everything looks all right on my end. My stream health says it is it's fine. Can you guys hear? Am I all right? Uh-oh. 100%. I'm reading all your comments right now, and Warner Brothers is absolutely tampering with the stream. Let me know in the comments if everything kind of boots back up. And I love how, Hannah, thank you so much for the $6.99. You're lagging. I really appreciate that. She paid me because I am lagging, apparently. The video is lagging. I can hear you. Okay, you can hear me. That's good. That's good. Very strange. I do not know what's going on here, guys. Warner Brothers is onto us. I'm telling you, James Gunn, he's probably some sort of bot account in this live stream. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take this goddamn loser down. You guys can hear me. I'm still frozen. What in the world is going on? I am like absolutely fine on OBS, and even my stream health says everything is good, but for some reason, okay, looks good now. We can hear you. Oh no, still, I do not know what's going on. Okay. Give me a second here, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, how am I now? Am I good? I should be fine now. I think I fixed it. I just turned off my camera on and off, and it seems to be working. That was so weird. Yeah, well, after that huge mess, okay, it looks like we're all right now. We survived the great purge of Warner Brothers and James Gunn. There we go. Good. And maybe it was Hannah's $6.99 helping me out. It got the stream back on track here. All right, good. When you swapped this, it just started to freeze up. That's so strange. Everything looked fine. I'm back. All right. Well, just quickly, I'm gonna have to scroll up from the comments here. Thanks everyone for sticking by. Just really quickly, about DC's the DCU slate. Sorry, I'm all over the place now. So the movies, I think Superman, if the DCU happens, Superman will be made. Brave and the Bold will likely be made. Supergirl will not. Swamp Thing will not. And The Authority will not. So, like, I could only see 2 of the 5 movies being made. For the TV shows, Creature Commandos, Waller, Green Lanterns, The Amazons, that Paradise Lost TV show, and Booster Gold. TV shows, it's a little easier to get away with because, you know, you can do like cheaper production costs, and like you're already going to expect potentially less people to watch your shows than your movies, so you already know what to expect. But TV shows like, all right, Creature Commandos is already in production, but will probably happen simply because of it will happen because it's animation and it can probably be easily made. It's much cheaper. Waller, I'm actually going to say Waller's not going to happen. We've heard literally next to nothing on that project. There's no need for it. Lanterns would be a show that would get made, so I'll say yes. Booster Gold, I would actually say yes. I think Booster Gold would be made as well. And Paradise Lost. I think Paradise Lost would be a show in a perfect world for DC. Paradise Lost would be a show that could be made, but I don't think it would get made in the state that DC currently is right now. So like out of 10 projects, that's what, like 4 that would actually end up getting made. So yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm going back up to the comments before we were getting attacked by Gunn and Warner Brothers. So I just want to see what some of you guys are saying before all that crap was going on with the stream. Oh, AMD found the Batman line. I see it there. Okay. I'll say it. What is it? It is... We'll destroy Gotham. Okay.
We will destroy Gotham. When Gotham is ashes, then you have my permission to die.
There you go. If it was like a cup, it could have been a lot, because it echoes around the cup and bounces back out, right? It'd been a lot better if it was a cup. I don't have a cup around here. Maybe next time. But you got the line. I said it. For some reason, if you look at your Batman banner long enough, it looks like he has an 8 on his head. Is it because of that dash in his forehead? Possibly. If you already mentioned this, but did you talk about James Gunn's past tweets about DC resurfacing? Big yikes. Oh, like the Facebook posts, Hannah, about like what he said about the Dark Knight trilogy and Michael Keaton and Tim Burton's Batman. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that 100% is not a good look. Like, that's not a good look for your CEO of DC. The fact that this guy had the audacity to call the Dark Knight trilogy awful or whatever, and he also said that Tim Burton and Michael Keaton's Batman is awful. And hey, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Keaton fan. I don't really like those movies. But the extent that he went to completely bash those films is crazy to me. Like, that's your CEO of DC? That's who you want running things? And he said that, like, apparently in his post, he said, fuck everybody involved in that travesty. The travesty being Burton's Batman films. Like, come on, man. Calm yourself, bro. Calm yourself. That is ridiculous. What's the best thing about that is on Twitter, of all places, because this is where it all goes down, you start to see people like justifying the things that he was saying. You know, I'm sorry if I ever saw if I was in the industry and another creative in the industry now said, you know, F me and F everybody involved in that movie because it didn't play out the way they wanted it to play out, I would never respect that person in my life ever. Like, never. That person, I wouldn't even want to speak to that person in the industry ever again. I wouldn't want to deal with that person in the future. I mean, just a terrible look on yourself. And now you're running the studio in which made those movies. I don't get it. But then the people on Twitter are like, you know what? I actually have to give him some props for being opinionated. Shut the hell up. That's not even being opinionated. That's just being a hateful bastard. That's all that is. Insane, man. Let's see. The one Daniel just tuned in. If you had already replied to this question, I'll watch your live again later from beginning. But what do you think about Zack Snyder's 4K re-release? Thanks, new subscribe. Oh, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Glad you even joined the live stream in the first place. And yeah, what I will say is the fact that they're re-releasing Zack Snyder's trilogy in 4K goes to show how strapped for money they are. And it also goes to show, that is literally the only thing that is selling in that company is those types of DC films. Black Adam's not selling. Shazam's aren't selling. The Flash sure is not selling. Blue Beetle's not selling. James Gunn's Suicide Squad is not selling. Nothing's selling but those movies. That's it. That's what I got. That's it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what else anybody would say about that, because if they didn't need money, they wouldn't have re-released it. Yeah, careful, you might get nerfed again, honestly. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about, yeah, and smiley face, you said the same thing. Here's the thing about James Gunn, though, in all honesty. We're talking about a CEO, okay? A co-CEO of a company, all right? We're talking about a guy who's made 3 quite successful Guardians of the Galaxy films for Marvel. We're talking about a guy, I mean, well, actually, I'm going to stop right there because his movies outside of Marvel aren't really that great. But we're talking about a guy who's very successful in the film industry, and honestly, a lot of people in the industry can't be bothered by other people's opinions. We are talking about a guy who 100%, if he came across this stream right now, okay, not only would he probably join the chat to see what I'm saying, he would like literally go on Twitter and make some terrible, like, just stupid mom's basement joke about me. And everyone on Twitter would like and retweet James Gunn. And he'd be like, yeah, James Gunn, go for it, bro. You're so right. Shutting up these YouTubers. You know, yeah, a YouTuber like me who's barely over 2,000 subscribers. But he would do it. He would do it because he's got a hurt ego, and he would do it because really he ain't working on anything in the background. He keeps talking about how busy he is on Superman Legacy, but he would do it because I've hurt his ego and now his pride, because it's really not that strong to begin with. Like, look at what he did. Look at what he did with the Den of Nerds when he said James Gunn does not like Henry Cavill, which is clearly it's apparently true. Like, he's made it known that you can see he doesn't like Henry Cavill's Superman, or Henry Cavill himself. But the guy goes online and wastes all of his precious time to respond to a YouTuber to say some BS about, like, what was it? Get out of your mom's basement or something like that. Like, yeah, people are actually listening to a guy who streams in their mom's basement. Like, shut the hell up, Gunn. If you're like, stuff like that is crazy to me. And that's just who Gunn is. He does stuff like that. Like, you're dealing with a CEO who literally spends his time on Twitter tweeting things. That's who's leading the future of DC. Ah, man. Crazy. 100%. 100. Hey, Pablo, what's going on, man? 100%. If James Gunn came across this stream, he would 100% be like, yo, let's call this guy out on Twitter, and let's get all my Twitter followers to immediately start calling T.M.M the worst YouTuber on the planet. That's what would happen to me. I think I could handle it, though. I think I have the mentality I could handle it. Let's not test it, though, but I think I could. Claymore's. Burton's Batman movies are some of my faves, and in my opinion, they include legendary performances like Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, well, he said in one of his, I think it was in those Facebook posts, that Jack Nicholson is just, it's Jack Nicholson wearing makeup and playing Jack Nicholson. Then he proceeded to say, fuck that travesty and fuck everybody who's involved with it. It's like, okay, man, calm. Remember Ross from Friends? Calm down. Just relax. It's really not that important. At the end of the day, you don't need to go that far. If you don't like something, you don't like something. But to literally, like, call blasphemy, that's literally what he's doing. To go that far to rip on people who were part of a movie that the general public does end up liking, you don't need to go that far, man. Like, there's no need for those types of actions. But of course, people will defend that, especially on Twitter. The Twitter people will be like, yeah, it's okay what he said, because it's just an opinion. But if one of us were to say something about like that about another movie, they'd be like, you're disgusting. You're a terrible human. It's backwards. It's backwards. Didn't he have a post where he said he... Oh, I know what you're talking about, Hannah. He has a DC ranking list where he wrote this article for all the female heroes and villains in DC. I think there might be Marvel characters on it too, but it's not even women too. I think it's also the men. But he has this article that he wrote years ago about DC characters on what DC characters he would fuck. And he ranked them from like 1 to 50 or something like that. And he was just talking about how, like, Wonder Woman takes my top spot, super fuckable, blah, 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 blah. I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, either these companies don't do their background research or they just do not care. They don't care who they hire for their future. And I understand there's a certain there's a certain level of understanding where, like, that was a long time ago. Some of us do things we maybe regret today, or some of us do things so long ago that who even remembers that stuff now. But I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, even if he is a somewhat changed man by chance, if I saw something like that, I'll never be able to forget that. I will now forever know that, like, Gunn did that stuff. I would always be like, yeah, Gunn, talked about what DC characters he would bang and how hot they are and the things he would do to them and how they should be dressing while they're doing it. It's like, okay, all right, can't wait to see how you make Wonder Woman. I don't think he dislikes Henry Cavill. He dislikes Henry Superman. He wants to distance as much as Snyder, hence the need of a new actor. Yeah, maybe that's true. Like, maybe he just doesn't like Henry Superman. Maybe he's fine with Henry Cavill. I don't really know. And yeah, not only does he need a new actor from what Snyder was doing, but also too, there's probably a huge thing about needing to pay an actor less money to play the role, and I think Henry Cavill would have honestly been way too expensive for them. So that could also be another factor why Henry Cavill is gone, because they just can't afford him. I agree. Gunn has a massive ego due to Guardians of the Galaxy and Marvel fanboys. Yeah, I mean, there are, once again, Twitter is where all the morons come out. Never ceases to fail. On Twitter, they act like there are people who are like, yo, Guardians of the Galaxy is far better than Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. It's like, once again, yo, Ross Geller, chill. If you are like, huge in the Guardians of the Galaxy films, it's fine to have that opinion, but like, they start talking for everybody. Like, if you don't think Guardians 3 is better than Infinity War, you're an idiot. Or now I see comparisons. Like, can we all just admit that James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is better than Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy? Just shut your goddamn mouth. Shut it. Shove whatever you need in your mouth to shut it if you can't close it yourself. It's just such bandwagoning bullshit. No one has their own opinions on this stuff. And then when they do have their own opinions, they try to like talk over people and make people feel wrong if you don't agree with them. And for some reason, I know there are a lot of Snyder fans that can be really bad, okay? Because they're unwilling to open their mind to anything else. But a lot of these Gunn fans are just like open your eyes, people. What? You're stupid. If Gunn never made a comic book movie, if he never made Guardians of the Galaxy, he'd maybe be in the industry, but he wouldn't be as well known as he is today. The only other like really popular film he has under his belt, and some people don't even know what it is Super, with Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight Schrute in The Office. That's literally the only other movie he has under his belt other than Guardians. Other than that, most of them are just really not the best. Okay. Wow, Gunn is probably a massive fanboy of the modern we live in. Yeah, Nicholson is the closest thing to a comic Joker we've seen aside from his backstory. Yeah, and once again, guys, like, I'm not a huge fan of Burton's movies. I don't really like Keaton's Batman. I'm not even really a fan of Jack Nicholson's Joker. Although I think the aesthetic of Jack Nicholson's Joker is really great. Like, it's phenomenal. But even though I'm not a fan of it, I'm not going to go out and say what he says about it. Once again, fuck this travesty and everyone in it. Really, man? Come on, dude. Grow up and realize at the time of writing that, he's in like his 30s or 40s. Grow the hell up, brother. Hannah, what a weirdo. 100%. And I know you're saying what a weirdo mainly because of his little sex article he wrote about superhero characters, but yes, what a weirdo. For sure. More than likely, those James Gunn Twitter defenders are his own hires, or maybe he himself in different accounts. Yeah, maybe. There are people who have actually claimed they know he uses like fake accounts to talk on his behalf. I don't know how true that is. I'm really not sure. Would I be surprised if Gunn did that? No. Not at all. Because once again, this guy actively goes out of his way to respond to YouTubers who maybe have an opinion on something, and he tries to rip them apart and get his band of Twitter brothers to then rip you apart, you know? Like I'm saying, if he ever came across this video, I'm sure he would attack me in some way. I'm just calling it like I see it. I see how he acts on social media, and I've seen the stuff he's done. He's not a saint. I mean, not many people are, but like he's got a situation where it's not really pretty. Yeah, Pablo, that's the thing. The creepy fact is, in those lists, there are characters like Cassandra Cain who are in their teens. I think he even comments like about Supergirl in that little sex article thing. And Supergirl, I know, is probably in her 20s, but it's because of the time dilation and getting stuck in stasis. It froze her in her teen body. Still, it's weird, it's creepy. But Gunn is also known for having creepy friends in his past life. So, you know. To bash on a film that was nearly a decade before CG came out, that was more than decent. Yeah, it's baffling. Outright dumb for a $1 billion A-list director to say. It is stupid. It is stupid. Like, what are you trying to do? Burn bridges? Like, what if one day he had to work with Nolan or with Tim Burton for whatever reason? Well, clearly he doesn't want to because he's actively burning that bridge. The rumblings about Superman Legacy losing money will scare off investors. Warner Brothers needs investors to make films. Zaslav can't allow first film bomb. He'll be out of a job. Watch him. Yeah, he's going to delay it 100%. And then that delay could lead into a cancellation. If it's not outright canceled from the beginning. I mean, yeah, Warner Brothers, like, even their stock price is low. I'm not going to show my screen just because I don't want the connection of the stream to go downhill again. But Warner Brothers stock. Their stock is terrible. Last I checked, it was $12. Currently, even worse. This is the lowest I've seen it in a long time. You guys can go check it yourselves. They're at $11.70. That is awful. When Warner Brothers first publicly opened their domain, their stock for their company, they opened at I believe $5 or $6. They are, if it's, let's just say it's $6, they're $5 away from what they originally opened their price to back in like 2005, 2006. At what point do you have to say financial distress? Because they're close to it. They don't have money to make these movies. And no, Barbie making $1 billion does not help this company fund a future of the DCU. I'm getting so sick and tired of seeing people who think that the future DCU's financial help is gonna come from Barbie. It does not work that way. It's just scary that a lot of people think this way, man. It is insane. All of a sudden, I have zero interest in the Gunn DCU. I don't blame you. Like I said, I understand people can change. I understand people do things in their past that aren't really the smartest things, or they do things they wish they just didn't do. This is just one of those things that is like, man, I know you're running DC now and you're going to be making content, but like that's a piece of DC content that I don't think ever needed to get made. Like James Gunn is not a podcaster, you know? If James Gunn was a podcast comedian guy who said things that, you know, like to get a rile out of people, you know, make some jokes here and there, sure, there's a certain level of jokes you can make, but like Gunn just strikes me as a guy that's like, yo, there's truth to what you say, man. So ugh. Where did the oh, yep, in the comments list just goes shooting down. Where did we leave off here? Okay, my God, Gunn is a freaking narcissist and he wants to F people like Wonder Woman. That's so wrong. Ah, man. I mean, like, sometimes those are just thoughts you keep in your own head. Like, realistically, okay? Comic book artists, a lot of the times, know what comic book readers want to see. That's why when you read DC and Marvel, for characters like Catwoman, Black Cat, Storm, Wonder Woman, Mary Jane, you know, Zatanna, they will make them sexually appealing. Even the men, Batman, Superman, ripped 8-pack, chiseled jaw, huge arms. Comic book readers know what men and women want to see. We do live in a world where sex sells, okay? We all understand this. We all understand that when we read a comic book, you're seeing Catwoman and her latex suit is so tight you could see every curve of her body, with her Catwoman zip-up top literally running down midway to her chest. Or you see Superman like a Henry Cavill, where his muscles are bulging out of his suit, you know? They understand what we want to see. We also understand what might be running through our minds while we read these comic books or watch these movies. But like when you gotta flat out write articles like that, like, oh, this is what I would do if I spent a night with Wonder Woman. This is what I hope she'd be wearing. This is what she looks like. This is how she could service me. Really? Who's the one in their smelly, sweaty, taco-reeking mom's basement now? It's not us. It's James Gunn. Yeah, just so weird. Diesel Demon, hi everyone. Hey, what's up, Diesel? Glad to have you here. This is a great question. I have a question. Why is it that Gunn gets away with every damn thing he says while there's a strike going on? I wonder why. Why is it that Gunn gets away with everything he says, period? Like, why is it so okay with him to say what he wants to say when he wants to say it? Why is it that he is defended for everything he says or has said before? Because I'll tell you this right now. If Zack Snyder were to have done the things he's done, he would be crucified by the general internet population. He would be hated. Any other director, frankly, would probably get nowhere near as much leeway as James Gunn gets. That there's a huge hypocritical situation going on here with James Gunn. And I would love to know why it's okay for him to do and say what he does and says, but it wouldn't be okay for other directors or even actors to do so. So, yeah, it is very strange. I am so glad I was here to witness you say Jack Nicholson's Joker aesthetic was phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, it looks good, you know, like they do a good job at making it feel like comic book Joker. Yeah, I have no problem with how they made him look. I'll admit to that. Jack, what's up? Glad to have you here. Do you think Gunn's new Batman will be campy or dark? Those Facebook messages meant he didn't like the dark take on Batman killing, and so while he liked the Flash's Batman one of the best, yet he doesn't like Tim Burton's Batman, which is probably why he liked the Flash, because he got to see Michael Keaton's Batman die in it. I mean, look, I understand Batman has had many different versions of himself over the years, and there's obviously, like, back at Adam West's Batman, he was a lot more campy, right? He a little more cringy and cheesy, but a lot more lighthearted, and there goes my light. But yeah, like, I understand there's been many different versions of Batman over the years, and not all of them are like the Dark Knight trilogy or Ben Affleck's Batman or, you know, even Robert Pattinson's Batman. But let's not forget, once again, there are versions of Batman that have killed. There are versions of Batman that carried guns. And at the end of the day, whereas campy Batman worked for the 60s and maybe even a bit of the 50s, I don't think campy Batman works today. I don't think that you could get away with that version of Batman in film, because I don't think people are interested in that version of Batman. Hey, prove me wrong. If a campy version of Batman worked, it works. Would it be a version of Batman I want to see? No, I don't want to see campy Batman. And I just don't think a lot of people do want to see that version of him. I'm still trying to figure out what makes this guy qualified to make an entire universe. He makes 3 great MCU films, and all of a sudden he's able to make a whole universe. Befuddling to me. I also just don't understand why, after all the issues Warner Brothers has gone through with DC, with all the different people they've tried to get to lead their future, with all the mini soft, hard reboots they've tried to play out through the years, I don't understand why all of a sudden act like James Gunn is the one who can fix everything. If other people haven't been able to do it, and you could argue more qualified in the sense of business standpoints, I don't know why all of a sudden we just start thinking, oh yeah, Gunn will do it though. Gunn will succeed. I don't know. Once again, a lot of hypocritical shit. I am believing that Gunn was sent by Marvel to destroy DC. Well, I almost feel, I mean, okay, yeah, I could absolutely see that being a thing. DC was already destroyed before he got here, but now it has gotten worse. I think Joss Whedon was sent to Warner Brothers and DC to destroy DC. I think at the end of the day, it all comes back to Joss Whedon coming to DC and absolutely ruining everything. I think it is Joss Whedon that pretty much said, oh, okay, I'm not just getting paid from DC and Warner Brothers to make and ruin Zack Snyder's Justice League movie. I'm getting paid on the side by Marvel and Disney to ruin this movie. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to Joss Whedon. He's the real culprit, in my opinion. And funny enough, you don't see him in the industry anymore. If I was an investor, I'd be so mad, to be honest, and make serious changes. Yeah, and you can tell investors are not happy because look at how low their stock is. $11. A company like Warner Brothers is stocking at $11. But then you look over at Disney, which I think is like 50, 60, maybe even 80. So, yeah, not good. In my opinion, if Warner Brothers got a hat and just picked a name of a fan, that could do something much better than the DCU. Yeah. Yep. Whoa, Michael Keaton's Batman dies? Yes, he does, Hannah. And I mean that was leaked like, I don't know, months before the movie even came out. And I guarantee you James Gunn was like, "Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so happy that Batman is dying," because he hates it. That and the Dark Knight trilogy. Freaking weirdo. Have you ever thought about how you would have done the DC extended universe and put every DC character you can think of in it? Yeah. I've thought about it a lot. I even have like kind of like a rough story that I would follow in a film universe, something I would really want to do. The world would start with Batman. Batman would be the character that kicks off the DC cinematic universe, followed up by Superman. I think like there is just so much you could do for DC that would have to be a live stream on its own if I were to really answer your question there. But yes, I have thought about doing something like that. I would even love one day too if I could make my own DC universe in comics. Chances of me ever doing films for DC would never happen. I don't even know if I would want to do film work for DC right now, because when you look at their company, it's just not pretty. But I would love to make my own DC universe through a comic or something like that. So yeah, I have thought about that extensively. I think Gunn is capable of creating a brand new universe. That's the problem. He should have just done a full reboot instead of keeping Peacemaker. And so I like Peacemaker Butterfly's plot, by the way. Yeah, I enjoyed Peacemaker. I'm not even going to lie. I think it was a solid show. But yes, he should have just done a full reboot. Now it is massively confusing and things change every single day. I wouldn't be surprised if Blue Beetle, the Zolo, the guy who plays Blue Beetle, I wouldn't be surprised if Blue Beetle is not in the DCU moving forward because it didn't make money, A full reboot is what it should have been. Unfortunately, a full reboot would have been to say goodbye to Cavill, Affleck, Gal Gadot, even characters we love, John Cena's Peacemaker, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. But no, instead he's picking and choosing, which is a terrible start to a DC universe moving forward. Why are all of these DC directors such a-holes? Now I need Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah, a lot of them are just not nice people. A lot of them are weird people, and a lot of them are just not fit for the job they're given, you know? I have I have a little bit of a feeling that when Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon drops, both part 1 and part 2, I think they're going to do so well streaming wise, and the DC, not even just the DCU, DC as a whole is just going to quiet down. Like, there's not going to be any news. There's going to be hardly anything to look forward to, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers reached out to Zack Snyder, dropped to their knees, and was like, we're so sorry for everything we did to you, you know? Could you come back and do something for us? I'm not saying he would make Justice League. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they heavily regret letting go of Zack Snyder, because I think Rebel Moon is going to blow up, and I think DC is just going... It's just DC is going downhill at a very fast rate, and I could see DC being a very forgotten about brand when it comes to their movies, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. And that would reflect on me, you know, because a lot of what I make is DC related. So what would I do with my channel if I don't have DC things to talk about? You know, where would we go from there? I feel sorry for Corin Sweat. He's in a no-win situation, superhero fatigue, having to replace Cavill, and in the end, I think there's a good chance he doesn't don the cape. Yeah, I will find it hard to believe if we see costume testing with Corin Sweat. I really don't think it's gonna happen. And I know a lot of people are, you know, they would disagree with me, or not, you know, honestly, they wouldn't even like me if they, you know, heard me saying something like that. But yeah, I don't think that, he'll really even end up being Superman at the end of the day. Like, I don't think James Gunn's Superman is even going to really end up happening. I don't see it. I just get this gut feeling it's not going to happen. Have you heard of Mr. Terrific? Yes, I have, and he's supposed to be in Superman Legacy. He's a cool character. He's a great character. You think Universal Pictures would buy DC Comics? Yeah, I think they're the next company in line. They will likely bid Warner Brothers and DC. Excuse me, for next year. It's more than likely what would happen. I agree with sending people to ruin DC. As far as I heard, Zack had plans to make a 3-hour movie. Marvel did it. Batfleck had to die. Instead, Iron Man died. It's obvious they had to fire Zack. I mean, yeah, I think when you think about it, why did Marvel make Captain America Civil War? At the end of the day, why did they make it Captain America Civil War? Because they found out that Zack Snyder and DC was making Batman vs. Superman. They had to make a movie that was, you know, similarly connected in a way where they could compete with DC with Zack Snyder's Batman vs. Superman. That's why they made Civil War. If a fan like you or me did a DCU, it would likely surpass the MCU. Wouldn't necessarily be hard at all to surpass Marvel, as they aren't necessarily doing the best at the moment. Oh, right now, I think one of us could surpass what Marvel is doing. I don't know what they're doing, to be honest with you. This whole multiversal thing should have been really interesting, and it should have been a lot of fun to watch. But instead, they're like 30 projects deep, and it hasn't gotten anywhere near to their end goal. I don't know what the hell they're doing over there. So yeah, the current state they're at right now, one of us could make a DCU far more interesting than their current MCU. He should have gave DCEU extra years to finish certain characters, or just like many suggest, use certain characters from elsewhere. Yeah, I mean, like I said, 5 to 6 years. 5 to 6 years is how long DC should be waiting to try their hand at a connected universe again. In my opinion, I think DC films should hire for writing more comic writer artists. The DCAU was great, and even most of the most successful media involved these guys. Paul Dini, Bruce Timm. I would actually love to see what Paul Dini and Bruce Timm would do with a connected DC universe. I think they could handle a connected DC universe through film. I think they would be really good for creative decisions, not saying they have to direct or write some of these movies. They could just be the producers. They could produce the world, they could give us a path from A to B, B to C, C to D, and so on. I think Bruce Timm and Paul Dini could do a great job. I heard Marvel is shit now. Yeah, I don't watch Marvel anymore. I what's the last Marvel thing I watched? The last Marvel project I watched, I think, was Thor: Love and Thunder. And Thor: Love and Thunder was their Shazam Fury of the Gods for me. What I did was I watched Love and Thunder. And mind you, before Love and Thunder, I wasn't watching any of their... I wasn't watching their TV shows. I was just watching the movies now because I didn't like the TV shows at all. Other than Loki. Loki's all right. But what I did was I watched Love and Thunder and I said, that's it. I'm not watching any more Marvel movies until they prove to me they can be better than what they've been. And then with DC, when I went to see Shazam Fury of the Gods, I said, that's it. I'm not watching any more DC films until they prove to me they can be better, they can do better. And so far, both companies have proven to me that they can't do that. So they won't get my money until they can do it. It's that simple. I speak with my wallet. That's what I'm learning a lot nowadays with these corporations. I'm speaking with my wallet, and my wallet isn't opening. So, yeah. I'm bummed out about all this James Gunn crap. I just heard about it. I used to think he was great at his job, but his controversial statement and idiotic nature was just so buried by the media, I never knew. Yeah, and why, though? Why is it they need Geoff Johns or Scott Snyder as writers in the DCU or a future DCU or producers? Scott Snyder, I would absolutely be down for. Geoff Johns, I do not trust that man in the slightest. Something about Geoff Johns rubs me the wrong way, especially the way he treated Zack Snyder as well with what he was doing, just completely going behind his back. Scott Snyder, though, I agree. I think Scott could be really cool for film. But yeah, exactly my point. Why Why can Gunn get away with doing stuff like this? Why don't the media ever attack him for that? But any other director or producer, or even actor, actress, they would absolutely get attacked. They would 100% be hated on for weeks, months, years. They would. They would. I don't understand why James Gunn gets away with it. I don't understand how that works. It is very strange. Yeah. Jeff Johns messed up with Justice League, telling Kevin Feige plans, so he decided to rework Justice League and Snyder Future. Yeah, I've heard about that, actually. If that's a theory, it's a well-known theory that Jeff Johns was just kind of screwing things up in the background. I've heard, though, Jeff Johns is a real big prick in real life. And when I look at his face, I wouldn't be surprised. Scott Snyder was great in Batman. His Court of Owls storyline was perfection, but I don't think Warner has the balls to do an R-rated Batman trilogy. That would be awesome. Is my audio seriously cutting in and out right now? Are we for real? Really? Hopefully it's okay. An R-rated Batman trilogy would be really cool. But obviously, the thing about an R-rated trilogy or an R-rated superhero film is often R ratings don't do well. Now look, I know Deadpool, which was actually just surpassed by Oppenheimer today. I believe it was today. Oppenheimer is now the second it's the second biggest R-rated film for the box office of all time. It is just behind The Joker from 2019. And I know Deadpool is now number 3. It's still really good. But Deadpool makes sense because he is an R-rated character even in comic books. Batman, I think the problem is, yes, would I be open to an R-rated Batman? You don't even need to ask that question. Of course I would be. But the reason why I think a lot of people still wouldn't do it is because I think an R-rated Batman, you still kind of gotta cater to kids a little bit. And look, I understand that the Dark Knight trilogy has maybe some moments that aren't really meant for kids. Even the Batman has moments that are scary and scenery and might not be made for kids. But even too, when I go see Batman films, obviously Batman is very adult-like. You still see kids going to the theater. I wonder if they would be afraid to make an R-rated Batman because they would be afraid about, losing money from parents who want to take their kids to the theater. Yeah, that's just an idea. And I don't know if that's true. I'm just thinking from a business standpoint. Let's see. JT Videos. Oh, I love JT Videos. He actually did MCU that is far better than the current MCU, and I feel the exact same way as you do about Marvel and DC in their current states. Yep, it's not pretty. It is not pretty for either of these companies right now. At least, what I will say, I'll just say this. At least with Marvel, they have already catered to a massive audience that, right now they're in a situation where they're not great, but they know they still have fans. They still have an audience. If they smarten up and get their act together, they know they can get the fans who have been lost and they can bring them back. If Secret Wars is actually as good as it should be, they know people will come back for Secret Wars. DC has none of that. They don't have a fan base. They don't have people outside of the fan base who are interested in their movies. So they're in a terrible spot. Terrible spot. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to end the stream here. I think that's it for this one. We've been going for 2 hours. It was good. Have you seen David Ayer's canceled Flash script? It's awesome. It features your favorite Flash, Wally. I've heard about it. I haven't seen it, but I heard he worked on one. Eventually, one day, what I want to do on this channel, I want to take old scripts that were never made into film, and like scripts that were canceled. They never ended up moving forward. But I want to take, like, say for example, that script and do like a reading for you all, and like, you know, kind of make it like a reading drama, you know, almost as if you're listening to a movie. I would love to do something like that. That's been something on my mind for this channel for a long time, and eventually one day I'm going to do it, and I'm going to go through like a list of all canceled DC projects, and like actually, like, you know, do some voice acting in it and kind of get people involved in the project and stuff. So that is something I want to do. Yeah, guys, I think that's it for this one. It was a fun stream. I want to keep doing these streams a little more regularly than I have been recently. It's I just got to find the right time to do it. But other than that little bit of a complication, I had it halfway through the stream. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Great stream. Thanks, Claymores. Appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for this one, guys. So until next time, until the next stream, hopefully the next stream we do, there's going to be something big to talk about. So we'll see what happens.